Hey guys, so it's a little bit after 7. It's Monday evening, and I've started the process of sewing the boning into the tops and then finishing the bodices. This one I just did. This was the first one. It looks a little short, but it's a small client. She's actually only 5 feet tall, so her torso was like a little bit shorter. Do y'all be doing this when you like make stuff? Do you put it up to yourself and be like, oh my God, it looks so little? But I'm pretty sure it's fine because she's like really short. But yeah, so anyway, as I finish these, I'm just going to be pinning them to the skirts, and then my next step in the process will be to sew the bodices to the skirts and then to put the zippers in. I'll probably do that all at once, bodices to the skirt and then the zipper, and then the dress will pretty much be finished. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, and I'm gonna see how many I can get through tonight. And at some point I'm gonna stop and just record myself assembling the bodice so you guys can see how that works. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock on Tuesday night, a little bit after 10. My goal for tonight is to finish sewing the bodices for the other 6 black dresses. I'm gonna try to stay up until 2 a.m. So I think it's possible I could get through all 6. If I get through at least 4 or 5, I'll feel like I did something, but I'm gonna try to get through 6. And yeah, I'll let you guys know how it goes. Okay, so it's 1:44 on Tuesday night, technically Wednesday, because it is the next morning. We're not going to talk about numbers. I still have a ways to go, but I did decide to go ahead and start sewing the tops to the skirts because I did a TikTok, so I wanted to see like what a completed dress looked like. I haven't done the zipper yet, but this is how it looks all put together. The back is still open. This one, I can tell that I cut the waist too wide because you can see the bunching, meaning the top was smaller than the waist. But her waist is a size large, and my pattern pieces are cut to like 85% of actual measurement. So I think once she puts it on, it'll stretch out and look fine. And then here's another one, and this one like came out perfectly. You can see the lines match up from seam to seam, and I'm like really happy with it. Here's what the inside looks like, pretty good. And so yeah, that is what I did tonight. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how to assemble the bodice. You're going to start with all of your pieces. So as you can see, I have 2 front panel pieces and I have 4 back pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first thing you're going to do is take one of your bodice pieces, whichever one looks better. Or actually, whichever one doesn't look the best, you would want to use for your lining because it's going to be on the inside. Hopefully, they both look great. You're going to take the pieces of boning that are longer because those are going to be the ones that are being put into your front bodice. And then you're going to make sure you have your I don't know if you guys can see it, but you want to make sure your plastic boning is centered. So there's about a 1/2 inch of empty casing on each end. And then you're going to take your boning and begin pinning it to the inside seams of your top. So as you can see, I've placed my first pin there. And you just want to pin it as close. Let me turn this around actually. On your boning, you can see there is 2 rows of stitches, And I just try to get my needle to go right through the edge where those stitches are, or like right next to it, so that I can sew the fabric part of the boning down and not the plastic part. And you're just gonna go down with a straight stitch, making sure that you have your fabric as straight as possible, or as flat and smooth as possible, so there won't be any like gathering or bunching. And as you can see, I stop frequently to remove my pins and make sure that everything is flush. Now, once I get to the bottom, I just turn, sew across the bottom, turn, and then sew back up the other side. And then I always like push my boning. You don't want your plastic boning to be too close to the edge because you're gonna need to have that seam allowance. Now, if I did happen to sew through my boning at some point, you won't be able to push it because it's gonna be stuck in place. So if I have too long of boning, I'll literally just clip like a little bit extra off so that it will not be going through the very edge of the fabric. And then I'll just take my needle and go across, close the edge of that boning casing so that it cannot move. And then I'll take my other boning and repeat the process. This time I'm not gonna pin it. I'm just gonna wing it. Lift your presser foot, turn. In this case, I'm going to sew backwards. I'll go back and forth a couple times, turn it again, and come back up the other side. And close. And so once you have sewn your boning in, it's gonna look like that. Look like that. This isn't perfect, but it's gonna do. The next thing you wanna do is get your back pieces together. And so you're just gonna take 2 of your back pieces and lay them out flat with the matte side facing up, or wrong side facing up. My shiny side is on the bottom. And you can see I use my table here to measure. So here are my 2 back pieces. You can see the, did I zoom in? Okay. Yeah, so you can see that the pattern pieces slope up towards the center. So that's how you know top from bottom. The top is straight, the bottom is slanted upwards toward the center. And so I use my table to measure. So I just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one is 8 inches wide about. And so I'm going to place my boning right down the middle. You could also like fold your fabric in half to see where the middle is, or, you know, measure. And I'm just going to pin it in place in like 2 or 3 different spots so that it stays put while I'm sewing. Okay, so there's one, and then the other, we're going to do the same thing. Make sure to center your boning inside the casing. And then I'm just going to lay my boning down on that 4-inch or halfway mark. All right, so once you have that done, then you're just going to do the same thing and sew your boning down using a straight stitch. Turn, back stitch. Turn and come back up the other side. Back stitch. And that's it for that one. And do the same thing with the other piece. Turn it back around. And done. So then next, you're going to go back to your bodice pieces. You're going to take your bodice piece that has the boning sewn into it and lay it out in front of you like this. This is the bottom, this is the top. And then you're going to take the other piece and lay it right side down, or shiny side down in my case. And you're going to pin the 2 pieces together all the way along the top, because we're going to zigzag this together. So that our lining and our main fabric become one piece. And when you're pinning this, anytime you're pinning together matching stuff, you want to make sure the seams line up. However, you shouldn't have an issue with doing that because they should be pretty much the exact same size. If you have to do a little bitty smidget of stretching, not a big deal. If you have to do a whole lot of stretching, you probably cut something wrong. And then once you've pinned everything across the top, you're going to do the same thing to your back pieces. So you're going to lay your pieces that have the boning in them, boning side down. And then you're going to lay your non-boning pieces on top of them, right side down. So basically pinning right sides together. And then you're going to pin them together along the tops as well. And remember, we know this is the bottom because it slants. So right now I'm pinning the two pieces together along the top. And other side. And then you're going to zigzag these together. So I'm going to run a zigzag stitch all the way across here. And then I'm going to run a zigzag stitch across here and across here. So then all of our lining and main pattern pieces are going to be joined as one. Just remember, sew all the way across the top of here. And then I'm going to show you guys the next step after I get done with that. Okay, so this is what we got. We got our bodice piece pinned all the way around the edges, and then that's the front bodice, and then these are the two back bodice pieces. So what I'm about to do now is serge them. If you don't have a serger, you can straight stitch them together all the way around the edges, about probably a 1/4 inch from the edge, but I'm going to be serging mine right at the edge. Okay, so notice where I'm placing my fabric in relation to the serger blade. You can see I'm putting it literally right next to the blade. So my blade is not going to be cutting any fabric off. If it does, it's going to cut like a sliver of it. Or you can disengage the blade. It's up to you. And I'm just going to serge all the way down the side, and then I'm going to turn it. Be careful to stop frequently to remove your pins, because if you serge a pin, you can mess up your blade, and you're definitely going to mess up your pin. So as you can see, once I got to the corner, I just kept going, and now I'm going to put it back under here to go down the bottom. And you can see it's cutting off these excess threads and stuff that I had hanging off as well. And then I'm going to show you how I do one of the back bodice pieces. Same process. Okay, then I'm gonna do the other one off camera, and next I'll be showing you how I sew the front and back bodices together. All right, so next you're gonna take your front bodice panel and lay it out like this. This is the bottom, this is the top. Then you're going to take your back bodice piece. Non-boning side goes face down, boning side goes up, and remember the longer edge is going to match up with the outer side, the outer edge. And then we're gonna take the other one like this. So the boning is face up, and on this side, boning is face down on the front bodice panel. You're gonna turn it to the side and begin pinning it together. And I know that I cut my pieces the same, but it seems like the back piece is a little bit longer than the front piece, maybe due to the serging. So I'm just stretching it out a little bit as I go to make sure that it's even. Sewing back and forth a few times up here at the top, just for stability. And do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and so now our bodice is fully assembled. We have a few ugly threads down here that you probably want to go ahead and cut off. Careful so as not to cut your actual fabric. That's a horrible idea. And then these pieces along the top, I'm going to get rid of those later once I finish the dress off. Snip. 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 All right, and so next step is going to be to sew our skirt. So this one, I had the pattern pieces set to the side so I could remember who this belonged to. So I'm just gonna go over here to my handy dandy rack, and I think that said Lakeisha. I believe hers was up here somewhere. Is it this one? Yes. The next step is going to be to attach it to your skirt. And this is actually my last black one. So you're going to take your skirt and turn it away from you, right side up, so that the waist is pointing towards you. So this is the waist of my skirt. Okay. And you're going to lay it out flat like this. Then you're going to take your bodice and lay it face down. And then you're going to begin pinning from one edge all the way to the other. I'm going to turn this around so y'all can see better. So you're looking at the waist of the skirt. The skirt is laying face up, all spread out. And then here is the bodice. And as you can see, I have it right sides together. So that's the right side of the skirt. This is the right side of the bodice. This is the wrong side of the bodice. And I'm just going to pin it from one end to the other, making sure that I match up my seams. So here's the side seam. I'm going to pin those together. And then we have our split seam right here. There's the split on the skirt. And then here is the princess seam right there. So I'm going to pin those and match those. It's not as big of a deal on black fabric because the seam isn't as visible and obvious. But on lighter color fabrics, you definitely want to make sure that you match up your seams as well as possible. And then here's the other side seam. And the end. So I got all my seams matched up, so I'm just going to pin the rest of it. Okay, so this is how it's gonna look after you have sewn the top to the skirt. And after all that talking about how you need to line the seams up, I still didn't line my seam up. So I'm just gonna pick these stitches out real quick and fix that. And then I'll be done with all the black, well, that step for all the black dresses. Thank you guys for tuning in to the third installment of my bridesmaid dressmaking vlog. Stay tuned for the next one. I'm going to be showing you how to insert zippers, finish off the dresses in general, and I'm going to show you how my bridesmaid dress fittings went, as well as add in some other general stuff that you guys have been asking for. I can assure you the next vlog is not going to take as long as this one did to get uploaded. Thank you guys for bearing with me as I figure out this process, and I will see you guys in the next video.